welcome to Classic Car Cave. I'm just going to put up a little short video of an incident that happened on Thursday. So this is Saturday afternoon, and I'll probably put this up today because it's going to be a little short one. On Thursday it was quite a busy day, and Mia and Refka were going to get ready to leave on Thursday afternoon, Thursday night, whatever. I had a situation where one of our natural pool pumps, we just bought one last week at the cost of 890 euros, and then we found a second pump was broken as well, so I had to go and get it, but the shop was going to close at 12 o'clock on Friday, so it was a bit of a rush because I got onto the autobahn, the A2 going towards Vienna, and there was a traffic jam. There must have been an accident, but further up from where I was turning off at Hartberg, because there was something like an 8 or 10 kilometre tailback. It was terrible, but eventually, luckily I got there about 15 minutes after 12, but my wife had already called saying, could you stay on for like 20 minutes? So they did, and we got the pool pump. I brought it back and Amir's fitted it, and all the pumps are working, all 6 pumps. So that's that part of it. So then, by the time I got back from there, I had an appointment at 2 o'clock for the Mini Cooper for a retest, and they were very good about it, even though I cocked up the dates. I had the dates wrong because I've got so many MOTs to do at once. I cocked up the dates, and instead of charging me 52 euros, they charged me 20 and €1.50 for the sticker, and the car passed, so that was great. But Amir had got it out for me, which was good news. But ultimately, before they left, what I wanted to do was get the XK here and put the convertible Mini that I'm doing for Jeremy on the ramp, because I want to adjust the gas shock absorbers so that they're in a better position for Croatia. The roads are nice going down, and once you get in on some of these roads in Croatia, they're really bumpy, so I want to try and make it as best as I can for that. So I had quite a lot on my plate, and this doesn't excuse anything. The reason I'm making this video is as a warning for other people. Now, why I didn't do what I normally do, which is test the brakes on anything before I take it off the ramp, I don't know. Maybe I was in things were kind of, it was getting a bit later in the day. Me and Refka wanted to get away. They were already showered and changed, and anyway, I didn't check the brakes. And we'd had an issue once before where when the vacuum pipe is on the car, or is on the inlet manifold, for some reason it locks the brake up, and I don't mean locks it on, it locks it off, and you can't actually press. It's almost like the hoses are in the wrong position, but they don't seem to be, according to the manual. They seem to be in the right position. It could be a number of reasons, which I'll go over at some later stage when we find out exactly what the problem is. Anyway, getting back to the nuts and bolts of it, so I get back here, I jump into this XK, start it up, get it running, all the rest of it. The door is open at the back here, so I've got two. I've got one door here and another door at the front here. And when I got to, and I had to put it in reverse, I just crawled it off the ramp, and when I hit the back of the ramp, I thought I'll just give the brakes a dab. And when I tried to brake, it was solid. It wouldn't go up, down, nothing. It felt like it was locked in place, like it was welded in place. Absolutely nothing. That meant consequently I started to fly down this hill, which I'll show you in a second, which is quite steep, and down into a road. Now again, fortunately we live on a road that's got a dead end. There's a farm at the end, and no cars can get out that way. They can only go up or down. And fortunately there was nothing coming, because basically I came out of a blind 90 degree and somebody could have run straight into me. You know, a tractor, because we have lots of tractors, but not so many cars. And I went down there basically uncontrolled. And I'll show you, as I said, I'll show you exactly what it looks like. Now there was some saving graces here. The saving grace was, for me, if I could put power assisted steering on this car, there is no way I would have been able to turn that or flick the back end of the car out enough to get it up the lane and slightly uphill to control it, because there was no brakes whatsoever. And it didn't occur to me to pull the handbrake on. I don't know why, it just didn't. Unfortunately, the handbrake on the XK is down the side of the tunnel, and it's a bit hard to see. But it just didn't occur to me. I was more interested in keeping the clutch down, trying to knock it out of gear, or get it out of gear, and steer it, than I was anything else. And it happened in seconds. So if I'd have gone down there and hadn't managed to throw the back end in and get up the lane, and it went across into the field or went across through the fencing, and God knows what kind of damage it could have done. I mean, it's just, put it this way, after I'd calmed down and I stopped shaking, I did have a few vodkas to settle my nerves, believe me. Anyway, I'll show you what the thing is and you can see what I was up against. So basically the whole point of this is if you're doing anything, if you're taking a car out, test the brakes before, when you start it up or even before you start it up, depending if it's got servo. Just check the brakes out, just check that they're not spongy or they don't go to the floor. I'm sure this has happened to thousands of people, but it's scary shit and it won't happen again. I can guarantee you on that. Every time I go out in any of these cars, I normally do test, but because I was kind of pushed and a bit rushed because I'd been driven all the way to Hartberg, I had to drive all the way to Gussing, and I'd probably done a couple of hundred Ks, well, not a couple of hundred, but certainly 150 Ks that morning, and then got stuck in traffic. My head was kind of up my arse, but be careful, test the brakes, and I'll come back and I'll show you what I think is the problem, what we think is the problem. Like I said, I had the XK on the ramp, obviously. It was in reverse, obviously. So I came down the ramps, which are not too steep. But I came down the ramps, and of course, as soon as I got to the back wheels to the edge, I gave the brake a dab, and that's when I realised they were locked. It was too late then, the car was in motion. So I flew down this. It might not look much now, it's very hot here at the moment, it's 30. I came flying down here backwards. And basically had to throw it around this 90-degree corner, and you can see there's not a lot of room there between there and there, and I managed to keep it. I actually threw the tail in so quick that I actually ended up near where that old drum is with some plants in it, and managed to bring it under control there. But yeah, it was fucking scary, I can tell you. So basically I think I did end up pulling the handbrake on in the end, but I went from the top of there all the way down here, managed to throw it across that corner, and ended up just next to this bin, or just past this bin, and that was just the sheer inertia of the body and the weight of the body. And yeah, 69, it's not something you want to be doing. Fortunately, I didn't have to change my underpants, but I tell you what, the thoughts of it. And then a friend of mine, after I mentioned it to him, said, well, you're lucky nothing was going down the lane. I thought, oh shit, yeah. Can you imagine that? Somebody's flying down there or coming down there at 50 Ks, and suddenly I throw a car out in front of them. So it could have been a complete and utter disaster with this XK. And you know, I put so much time, money and effort into it that before we even get it on the road officially, we certainly don't want to have the problems. Anyway, I'll show you what we think the problem is. Okay, so right now you can see the vacuum is off. There's the hose there. And you can see it's off. There's the actual, it's right underneath it there. So what exactly is happening at the moment, I'm not quite sure, but if you take the vacuum off, you can use the brakes. They don't lock them up. So it's almost like the diaphragm, or possibly the check valve, is not working, and it's blowing. I mean, it's supposed to be pulling the vacuum. It's almost like it's blowing the brake upwards. So we need to investigate this. The downside to that is, unfortunately, with these XK150s, is everything is inside the wing, and we've got to take this door panel out here, which you can't see very well, I'm afraid, but it's basically all inside that wing on a shelf, so that's going to have to come back out. Anyway, as I said, thank God I managed to control it up to a point, but yeah. So if you ever do anything like this, guys, with any cars, yeah, just check them brakes, guys. Brakes and clutch, whatever, but particularly the brakes, because if you can't stop the thing, you're screwed. And it was a scary moment that I do not intend to revisit. I could imagine the arse end, I mean, and the back end of this car is so expensive to repair. I know, I've basically built it all. That whole tonneau has been off the car, so everything, right down to the basic shell. So all that tonneau I've rebuilt completely. All the flanges were gone on it, the lot. So, and I know what they cost. Just to replace that with a new one is probably in excess of 12 to 15,000. Just to replace it. So you can imagine the damage it could have done, you know, to the bumpers, whatever. Anyway, thank God it's I say thank God I'm not even into religion, organised religion, but yeah, it's just a saying. But yeah, somebody was looking up at me, or somebody was looking down on me, whatever, I guess. But just be careful, guys, especially when you're restoring cars, and there's little bits and pieces, you know, bits that you haven't finished up yet, and what have you. And you know, they'll just come and bite you in the arse. It could have been an absolute disaster, financially, time, everything. And if somebody else had been involved in the accident, poof, who knows what the cost could be. Anyway, as I say, it's just a word of warning, a caution, and as usual, stay safe. Yeah, good coming from me. Stay safe, keep the faith, enjoy your hobby, and yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye for now.